This segment sponsored by Foster Financial. It's time for Money Monday, where we provide you with holistic financial advice, but specifically for women in planning for your retirement. And joining me today is Caleb Doan, the Vice President of Foster Financial. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Going good. So let's jump straight into it.
Yeah.
HSAs, health savings accounts. I know that we discussed these before, but they're so important, especially at the top of the year, right? Because you're trying to understand what your planning is throughout the year for your medical bills. So give us an overview about an HSA.
Yeah, absolutely. So the HSAs are a very tax advantaged account that I think a lot of people use, but they don't use to the full capability of what the HSA kind of offers. And so some of the basics are, you can contribute to an HSA. When you contribute, you actually get to deduct that on your taxes. So if you put in $5,000, you get a $5,000 deduction on your taxes that year. The money goes into the HSA, and then it can be invested. And that's where a lot of people, I guess, drop the ball, or they don't fully take advantage of the investment options inside their HSA. And if it is invested, it grows completely tax-free and comes out completely tax-free as long as you use it for qualified medical expenses.
Okay.
And so I think 401ks do a really good job of making it very easy to set up. A lot of times you're defaulted into them, you're contributing, and usually you're defaulted into an investment option in the 401k. HSAs are almost never like that. A lot of times you have to kind of opt in to use the HSA in the first place.
Right.
And then even when you are contributing, it's almost never automatically invested for you. You kind of have to take that step to go in and see what the investment options are, and then actually take the step to invest it.
Okay, so it sounds like there's multiple steps. So number one is actually setting up the account and letting your employer know, right? Because it's through your employer?
Yep.
Okay, and so once that's set up, do you start to contribute to it first before you do the investment?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, you'll start to contribute to it. Sometimes an employer will contribute, $1,000 a year. Maybe they have a matching schedule for the HSA. But then you have the ability to contribute too. And it's usually very similar to your 401k. It's like salary deferral, where you can say, hey, I want, 1% of my salary withheld every paycheck for the HSA contributions. And then the money goes in there, it builds up, and then you can invest it.
And you said that the max is $5,000 that you can put a year?
So it depends whether you're a family or whether you're a single person on the plan. For a family, for 2024, I want to say it's $8,300. And then for somebody who's just single on the plan, it's $4,150, half of that.
So if they're using it for medical expenses, qualified medical expenses throughout the year, do they have to save up that allocated money before they can use it? So if you have an HSA, you start in January. If you don't trickle that almost $5,000 into your account until December, you don't get to use it that year, right?
Right, yeah. You have to have money in there in order for you to use it. But one of the really good strategies that we use is actually delaying using the money in the HSA. To give it time to grow.
Right.
And so, for example, especially with younger clients, if you can afford to pay for some of your medical expenses out of pocket, a lot of times we have people do that so that the money in the HSA can grow, be invested in the market, grow completely tax-free, and then we kind of earmark that account and say, hey, we're actually going to use that for medical expenses in retirement. And that way, the money in the HSA, we invest it and it grows and it becomes bigger if it grows with the market than what it was if you just left it in cash and used it for your expenses. And I know it can be, I guess, a tough thing because you have this HSA, let's say there's $5,000 in there, and all of a sudden you have a $500 medical bill that comes up. You really want to just swipe the HSA card and not have to worry about it. But the HSAs are so tax advantaged, the government literally prevents how much you can put in there. They cap how much you're allowed to put in. They say, hey, these are so great, you're only allowed to put in this much. And once you pull the money out, you can't just turn around and immediately put it back in. You're still subject to that cap, whatever it is. Right. So a lot of times we say, hey, let's actually keep this money in there, let's invest it, let's allow it to grow, and then let's use it in the future.
Yeah, and so who qualifies for an HSA? Is it just anyone who is employed?
That's a great question. So you have to be on an HSA eligible health insurance plan.
Oh, okay.
And these are usually what are called high deductible health plans. And the ranges kind of change every single year for what is actually a high deductible health plan. But a lot of people are on high deductible health plans and have access to an HSA.
Okay.
But a lot of times it's something you kind of have to opt into at work. You know, you might have heard it in, onboarding or an HR meeting or something. They're like, hey, you have access to an HSA. But usually you kind of have to take the initiative to set it up.
Okay. But I love that. I like the strategy in it, especially if people don't have many medical expenses. Young people, they can get it started and then roll it, and use it for retirement. That's great.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Or like if people don't have kids right now, kids are expensive, especially from the medical side. So start contributing to it, and maybe we use it for kids.
Okay, so actually, little side question on that. If someone does collect money in their HSA and they have a young child, are they able to pull that money to use it on medical expenses, but for your child?
Yep.
Or for your spouse?
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times people, a family is kind of on one of the spouse's health insurance too, right? So I mean, the whole family is kind of covered underneath that HSA. But yeah, you're certainly able to use it for your spouse and your kids.
Wow, okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks, Caleb.
Yeah, you bet.
And Foster Financial, of course, is here to help women plan for retirement. So we'll be sure to list their phone number below for your complimentary consultation. And I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Foster Financial.